This is my friend, folks, Wayne Collins. He's going to be kind enough to tell us what was the total in July of this year.
Total in July would have been $2,652.
Thank you. And how much was spent in business?
Well, let me get that for you here.
Business, folks, is running our ship, which says when all is said and done, the only thing that really matters is how did we treat others.
Yes.
Thank you for treating me so nicely, Wayne.
Oh, you're very welcome. Now, let's see.
You want the business out?
Yes, you wanted what was spent for
business out, Wayne.
Business out. Okay. See, your business out was $3,019.
Thanks, more than went in. And then how much was personal out? I'm going to guess.
$575.
Yes. And what was the highest expense, Wayne? The highest expense?
Oh, that would have been, I believe it's non-employee compensation, but let me check that. Yeah, it would have been non-employee compensation, $1,245.
That's how much we paid people to keep this ship afloat. This is how much we paid to keep this enterprise on the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and on 72 TV stations.
Yes.
And now, Wayne, what was the next highest outlay?
Well, let's see. Of course, that was your very largest one. You spent groceries $227.
Is that the next one?
Oh, well, actually, donations received was $310.
Okay.
Medical was $464.
What?
Medical, $464. That would have been the practitioners and...
Oh, the practitioners, sure.
Yeah.
The Christian Science practitioners. Thank you. And the next one below food?
Next one below food. Okay, donation received was a little above food. That was $310. Food was $227. And...
keep going, honey.
Internet was $133.
For what?
Actually, technical equipment was $160. And consolidated internet was $133. High-speed internet $129. Household was $99. Gifts $88. And the other expenses appear to be all relatively small.
Below 100?
Yes.
Okay, that does it for July. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I look forward to your figures for August.
Yes, I'll have to get those soon.
Yep. Now, Wayne, you were born in Pittsfield?
Yes.
Okay. Is it all right to record this?
Yes.
And you went to elementary school in Pittsfield?
I did. I went to Allendale School when it was just 1 year old. And that was a neighborhood school then. It only had, not any more than 15 classrooms. On the left-hand side, they went from room 100 to 108.
Let's keep it interesting, dear.
And on the right-hand side, there were only 5 classrooms. This was...
And how long did you go there?
I went there for 7 years.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, from kindergarten through 6th grade.
Oh, yes. And did you walk to school?
Yes.
There was no busing in those days, right?
Well, there were a few who bused from Cheshire Road and the Dalton Town line, but it was a majority just a neighborhood school. Now, it's very different now.
Did you go home for lunch?
Yes, usually.
And what time was that?
12 noon.
No, 12 noon, And they expected you back at...
1.
At 1?
Yes.
Is that so?
Now, the schools in Pittsfield that did not have cafeterias, and everyone had to go home. Now, the bus people would not have gone home. They would have eaten in the cafeteria.
But they didn't have a cafeteria.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Okay.
They had a choice. You could go home or eat at school. And then the schools back then did not have cafeterias, so they had an hour and a half for lunch, but they had to stay in school a half hour later in the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
That would have been Dawes School for one.
And then after Allendale, where did you go?
I went to North Junior High for 3 years. And that was an interesting situation because I didn't go up there right away. They had so much overcrowding that year that they opened up the old junior high school, which was called Central High School, and that was on the Common where you used to come to Pittsfield. And they hurriedly opened it up, and each 7th grade, we had 2 junior highs then, North Junior High for the north side of the city, and South Junior High for the south side of the city. And they took 1/3 of each class. 1/3 of each 7th grade had to go to Central Junior High for 1/3 of the year. And I was in the group that had to go for the first third of the year. So we were there with 1/3 of the 7th grade for North
The time is 12:08 p.m.
Go ahead, Wayne.
1/3 of the 7th grade from South Junior High. And that early December, we were shipped back up to North. We were shipped up to North Junior High, and 1/3 of those who had been up at North Junior High for the year had to go to Central for 1/3 of the year.
Okay, is that the most interesting thing you can tell us?
Well, I can go on and on, but
And what year was that they had those so many students?
1959 through 1960.
Oh, yes.
And then, of course, after that group went there for 1/3 of the year, they went back to their respective junior highs, and the last third came and finished up the year at Central Junior High.
Is there anything interesting you can tell us about junior high?
Well, it was quite a change from elementary school.
Uh-huh.
And you had different teachers for different subjects, which was different from elementary school.
And you rotated classes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then after the junior high, you went to the high school?
Yes, Pittsfield High School. And Pittsfield High School has a dome on it, like the Capitol.
Oh.
That opened in the early 1930s, and my mother went there, probably the year after it opened. And, it was very crowded then. We had, I'd say over 2,000 students in the school at that time.
And that would be what year, dear?
I went there starting in the fall of 1962.
Uh-huh.
And they had a beautiful big auditorium. And it had a balcony all around the upper part. And it used to be used like a civic center for different productions that would take place in the city. It must have seated about 1,000 people, because if we had 2,000 in the school and they had an assembly, they'd hold 2 assemblies and it would seat everybody. So it must have seated about 1,000 people, I would say.
Oh, my.
Now, they renovated the school in 1976, and they did away with that beautiful auditorium and made it into classrooms and a library.
Oh, Wayne, that's a shame. Why did they have to do that?
Well, I don't know. But when we had our 50th class reunion, they gave us, that Saturday morning, they provided a tour of Pittsfield High School for us. And in walking through, it was almost as if we had never been there before, because everything was changed.
Okay, now, just a moment, please.
We did get something that we did not get when we went to school. Nobody was allowed to go up into the dome. So you didn't know what the dome was like. But when we made that tour, we were allowed to go up into the dome. Or it was one of the tours anyway. There was another time when the class committee was able to go up there. And when you went up there, you could go out onto the outer part of the dome when there's a railing all around. You could see all around the city of Pittsfield.
Nice.
Dome. But it wasn't, I thought it would be like going into a big empty circular space. It wasn't like that. It was more like going into a boiler room or an attic.